Trick or treat. Welcome to Halloween Raw, October 31st, 2022. All right, some really quick notes. SmackDown's ratings for October the FS1 episode was absolutely abysmal. It was under 900,000 viewers. They were absolutely decimated, not just by the World Series beginning, but also there was also an NBA game on at the same time. They got ripped apart. They got less than 900,000 viewers. That's definitely something they need to look into because I know having two sports on at the same time doubles the impact. They still did very well as far as landing number 5 on cable, but geez Louise, less than 900,000 viewers. You getting dynamite numbers at that point. I mean, you need to reconsider what you're doing. All right. Let's move on. So apparently one of the stories floating around is that Kevin Owens is kind of on ice right now because he was supposed to be beginning some type of thing with Sami Zayn, but the honorary Uso angle is sort of taken off, and that has been more successful than they planned. So the plans for Kevin Owens really aren't lining up. Now I've seen people kind of refute this and say that it's not true, that there was other things that has been going on with Kevin Owens. I don't really miss him anyway, but I don't really see that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were going to do anything right now anyway. I could see that closer to WrestleMania, the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus the Usos thing. All right, another piece of business is that Shinsuke Nakamura will be wrestling the Great Muta at the Pro Wrestling Noah event, and this has sent shockwaves throughout the wrestling media as they are like, WWE Noah, the real Forbidden Door. And I'm just kind of like, well, didn't they do this before? They let Kenta do a match for Noah way back in 2018. That was under Vince. Now, maybe Vince wouldn't have allowed a main roster talent to do a Japanese shot, but I don't see it as being that big of a deal. I'm very interested in it, of course. Of course, Muta isn't what he used to be, but then again, none of us are. At least I'm not. That's for sure. But it's a fun match, and it ought to be pretty cool. It for some reason sent people up. It sent some people into a tizzy, as they were like, "Oh my God, no, WWE is doing stuff," and there's people who are now thinking that WWE is going to buy Noah from... I'm just kind of like, are you serious? It's a big fan-friendly match for a legend in the business whom I don't think they've had a match in years, actually. Well, they clearly haven't had a match in years. But I think their last match was in New Japan, and I think it was probably over 10 years ago. But it's something big for the Japanese audience. It means something to them. WWE seems to really do appreciate the Japanese wrestling audience sometimes. Like when they put Jushin Thunder Liger in the Hall of Fame, even though they didn't have him do anything for WWE. But still, it was very nice. I think they're going to do the same thing here. I think the Great Muta is definitely going to get put into the WWE Hall of Fame. I could see him making a Royal Rumble appearance. That could be fun too, but I don't know if that would be possible because I don't know what the schedule is for Japan or anything like that, but it would be fun. It would be really fun if the Great Muta gets to make maybe 1 or 2 WWE appearances, before his career is over. That could be great. He's never been to WWE before. So, it would be awesome that at the tail end of his career is something that he can actually check off his bucket list. Something that it took him forever to get to. It's something that probably should have happened a long time ago in terms of having the Great Muta in WWE. So that could be great, and it could be very fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I probably will be watching the match just because I'm an old school Muta mark, especially from the matches with Sting. Jesus Christ, I love those matches. So just because I'm a KG Muto / Great Muta mark, I definitely would be watching Nakamura versus Muta. Will I pay for it? That's the question. That's the question. Because I legitimately couldn't name 5 other people from Pro Wrestling Noah. Really, not modern day Pro Wrestling Noah. I know Naomichi Marufuji. I know Go Shiozaki, at least if he's still there. Is Jun Akiyama still wrestling? So that's 3. Can I name 2 more? No. And I'm not even sure all of those guys I just named are still there. But it's gonna be fun. So there's got to be something else. Yes. They're still talking about this women's mid-card belt, or what they call the Women's Intercontinental Championship, which is something that they're discussing. And I don't think there's much discussion to be had, considering I don't think they need it. But WWE is going WWE. And Triple H is more likely to buckle and give the women another belt more than Vince is. I wouldn't be surprised by this time next year there's not 2 or 3 more women's belts in the announcement of another Evolution show. But, it is what it is. I guess the other big news is the Carmella situation. I don't want to go into it because it's very, very extremely personal. But knowing that she had this, what's it called, ectopic pregnancy, which caused her to have a miscarriage, I'm surprised Corey Graves is even on the show. And Carmella has been off TV for a while now. And of course, they never announced that she was pregnant. So maybe she didn't know. I think that's what an ectopic pregnancy is. I didn't Google it, so it's hard for me to tell for sure. But I'm surprised Corey Graves is even on the show. So he's a trooper for even showing up. Because I know I probably wouldn't have been in my right mind. And having been through that personally, I wasn't in my right mind. So big up to Corey Graves and Carmella. So let's get into Raw. All right. Match 1. Bianca Belair defeats Nikki Cross. Well, how about that rebranding of Nikki Cross? How about that? Her first match back, she takes a clean L to Bianca Belair. I mean, Jesus Christ. Why spend so much time on this girl? She literally closed the show last week just for you to beat her in the first match this week. Literally. Y'all gonna start criticizing Triple H eventually, man. I'm going to push for a Triple H criticism on the internet. We need to do more of it. This was dumb. If Tony Khan would have done something like this, we all would have been ripping him to shreds. Now, I know we don't give a shit about Nikki Cross. I know we don't care about her. I'm not saying we should. What I'm saying is, why waste our time? Why waste our time? Why waste everybody's time with all this? Nikki's going to lose the mask, bro. And when she loses the mask, she's going to be psycho crazy, just like she was in NXT. And then she loses clean first match. Like, wow. Way to show everybody that, things have changed, that she's more serious now. And she's not. She's the same as she was last week. Well, 2 weeks ago. How about that? Speaking of the same, Bianca Belair is jumped by Damage Control. This time, Asuka and Alexa Bliss come out there to make the save. Nobody cares about Nikki. She just rolled out in the ring and disappeared. I didn't see her anymore for the rest of the night. Well, not surprising there. So they announced that there will be a tag team championship match, Damage Control versus Asuka and Alexa Bliss. This sends Dakota Kai into a bit of a tizzy as she starts talking about how they don't deserve a title match. And Io will say that they're going to embarrass Alexa and Asuka. Bayley said that they've done too much and come too far to drop these titles now, and that Dakota Kai has been left behind too long, and Io has been overlooked too much. And then they went out there and promptly lost the tag team championships to Asuka and Alexa Bliss. This is Asuka's literally like 4th tag team title run with 4 different partners. Let's see, she was tag team champions with Charlotte. She was tag team champions with what's her face? Kyrie. She was tag team champions with somebody else too, if I remember correctly. And now it's Alexa Bliss. Unless this is her 3rd, with a 3rd different partner. I think it might be her 4th run with 3 different partners. But she's stuck in the tag team division now. This is Alexa Bliss' third run with 2 different partners, I think. She was tag team champions with Nikki Cross. The match itself, the crowd was really into it. I don't know why, but the crowd was really into it. I think the big spot before the finish is the reason. So Bayley and Bianca Belair was fighting outside the ring. They ended up getting on top of some kind of platform where Bayley scooped up Bianca and belly suplexed her off the platform through a table. It was really ugly, but it got the crowd up. Crowd was woke after that. And so that kind of led to the finish. The finish was the Twisted Bliss by Alexa Bliss onto EO. So Asuka and Alexa Bliss win. Damage Control takes the L again, and we once more hot potato in the women's tag team belts. So we don't know what to do with them. Damage Control never really got a run. He never really established anything. They just kind of held the belts, and which is not the same as having a run. Just holding the belts is not a run. I wish that AEW and WWE would fucking learn that when you're the tag team champions, you're supposed to build up some heat. For Christ's sake, look at what they're doing in NXT with Pretty Deadly. The Pretty Deadly just don't hold the belts. They do stuff. They cut promos. They get heat. They command segments that they're in. Even if they're being silly, they're still sort of commanding the segments that they're in. These people basically just exist and they walk around with belts. This is goofy. And then if you're going to try to make Damage Control look like they're important, shouldn't they win? Shouldn't they fucking win? Like, why do they lose so much? But I don't really care because I hate Damage Control. So I'm not thrilled by this Alexa Bliss and Asuka pairing. I don't think that it's long term. It's clearly there is no long term plan here, and they're just using the belts as part of this storyline because somebody's got to lose belts, and it probably won't be Bianca anytime soon. But well, Dakota Kai and Alexa Bliss. Dakota Kai can't catch a fucking break. For starters, she's always a tag team champion. She's never going to go anywhere as a single. Secondly, anytime she actually holds a tag team title, it's a very, very short amount of time. It's not a real run. So she's just a curse when it comes to tag team wrestling. Which is fine with me because I don't care about Dakota Kai at all. At all. Period. Don't like her. Not a big fan. Wouldn't call myself a fan. Not at all. All right, let's move on. Lashley is backstage, and he's expecting to have a conversation with Brock Lesnar, and they're going to sit in chairs, apparently. So Brock doesn't show up, so Lashley cuts his promo anyway by saying that Lesnar was ducking him for 20 years because he knew that he would expose them like he exposed them at the Royal Rumble, like he exposed them last week, and said that because everybody knows that Brock Lesnar is just a Bobby Lashley wannabe, which of course is a sort of cue to what Brock said about Bobby Lashley earlier this year, that Bobby Lashley is a Brock Lesnar wannabe. Lesnar comes to the ring instead, says that he didn't come to have a sit down, he came to fight, and that if Lashley didn't get the memo, but even if he did, he probably couldn't read it. So Lashley, who was watching Brock in the ring, takes his glasses off, comes out there, takes his suit jacket off, and they start getting into a bit of a brawl. This wasn't taken seriously at all, as Matt Riddle is out there with his flip-flops in his hand and his hat, and he's smiling and being goofy. And this is where, they get the idea that they're treating Triple H like the substitute teacher. Like, Vince ain't here, so nothing can be taken seriously. We're going to shit all over this. Like, these guys are out here trying to make some money, and Matt Riddle is out there like, flip-flops, bro, hat, bro, look at me, bro, I'm in the middle of all this. Hey, guys, look at me in my shoes, man. I'm barefoot out here, bro. He's like, oh, come on. Anyway, Triple H is out there. He's being serious, and he's yelling at these guys that if they touch each other, the fight is off. If you guys fight, the fight is off. So we didn't see either one of these guys anymore for the rest of the night. Okay. I like this, though. I like that they didn't have Lashley be scared of Brock. I like how Brock wasn't scared of Lashley. They're not really doing much in terms of who's the babyface and who's the heel. I think they're just kind of let the audience make the decision in this situation here, which, you know, I'm not thrilled about. But to me, I would have liked if they'd have just said that, you know, Brock was the heel, or, you know, maybe Bobby was the heel. Who knows? But they're going to let the audience make the decision here. So, whatever. That means Lashley's the heel. That's exactly what it means. You let the audience make the decision. That means Lashley is the heel. So, let's move on. I really look forward to this match, though. God, I look forward to this match. All right. Seth Rollins versus Austin Theory. This match is non-title as far as I know. Seth Rollins has blonde highlights in his hair, and Austin Theory now has a very sweet beard. So he looks very adult. Austin Theory cuts a promo about wanting to make an impact and prove a point about, you know, the same stuff he's been talking about forever. They go out there and they have a banger of a match. For starters, it's heel versus heel. It's another one of those choose your own adventure matches, but the crowd is so behind Rollins that he comes across as a babyface anyway, and he plays into the crowd much like a babyface would. So Austin Theory is smart enough to know that he's going to be working heel here, so he kind of does. A lot of the in-ring conversation was very good from Austin Theory, trash talking Seth Rollins and pushing him around. Rollins is tremendous. I mean, the guy is so good, and he's got so much to prove, you know, considering he thinks he's the Randy Savage of this generation, and you know what? He's probably right. You know, he's definitely in that era where he's having much better matches and far more frequently than Roman, but he's not the box office does not in any way validate what he's got going on, you know. But he's doing fantastic. He's been doing great. But this match was a banger. Of course, Austin Theory loses because Triple H is booking this show, and so, you know, Triple H doesn't like Austin Theory. He won one match in 6 months or whatever. Who knows? But let's get into Roman Reigns. So Roman Reigns comes out there to cut a promo. Said that he's feeling a little oozy. Says that usually he comes out there and he hypes his opponents only for them to get smashed. And says he promises that he's not lying to people. His opponents are that good. He's just that much better. Then he said, but he cannot hype Logan Paul. He refuses to hype Logan Paul because the guy has only had 2 matches and he's an outsider. Said he's not going to hype Logan Paul, but Paul Heyman will. This led to Paul Heyman talking about Logan Paul training with Shawn Michaels, but he's still going to get smashed because Roman Reigns cannot stand outsiders. Then, some odd reason, The Miz came out here. And even Roman was shocked, like, The Miz? What the hell does The Miz want? And I kind of figured it out halfway down the ramp that, because I kind of forgot, I think most of us did, that The Miz was involved with Logan Paul coming to WWE. And it wasn't that long ago. Actually, it was Sami Zayn that brought Logan Paul into WWE, but, you know, kayfabe, bro. You know, I guess from an in-ring perspective, The Miz is right. So, The Miz immediately acknowledges Roman Reigns as his tribal chief and said that he's here to help, that he brought Logan Paul to WWE and even trained him. But one thing he did not teach Logan Paul was that knockout potential, and that he really does have steel pins in his hand, and that at any point in time he can knock anybody out, and say that, well, hey, he knocked out Jey Uso. He knocked out your blood. Then he said that he would have helped sooner, but he was distracted by a deranged stalker. But then he asked for a favor. Said, you help me with Dexter Lumis. He didn't say Dexter Lumis. And he said, he who shall not be named. And I'll help you with Logan Paul. Roman said, you know, he likes Miz because Miz acknowledging his tribal chief. And is very deferential. Because he's such a slimy cunt, that Miz. Roman then says he wants to know why everybody's talking about Logan Paul knocking him out. Then he Superman punched The Miz. Then said that they should be talking about him knocking out Logan Paul. And then the real meat of this entire thing is Roman walking up the ramp, yelling at the camera that he's tired of being humble and that no man can take him. Nobody can knock him out. and that he owns everything. He owns this arena. He owns this camera. All of this is his. It was fantastic shit. That walking up the ramp promo was better than anything he did in the ring. And it does harken back to how good he was in the Thunderdome. And that's the only thing I really miss about the Thunderdome is how really cinematic and deep the Roman Reigns character was. And it seemed like they kind of stripped a lot of that away when the crowds came back, because a lot of it you couldn't really do, you know. But it was kind of a nice little throwback to that. Of course, nobody believes that Logan Paul is going to win, but they're trying to do something to make people believe this. They've even got Logan Paul on his podcast talking about he's going to make people acknowledge him and, you know, all this kind of stuff. It's been very strange, you know, but at least Logan Paul is taking it seriously, and we know that he can perform, so it ought to be fun. I'm sure they're going to tell some kind of interesting story where Logan Paul gets very close but no cigar. My question is, how close is he really going to get? Considering we've seen Roman dominate like Rey Mysterio, you know, and Finn Balor and some guys who is far more experienced than Logan Paul. So how much legitimacy do you really want to give Logan Paul in a match? Does the match go 10 minutes? That's my question. You know, does it go 10 minutes? If it goes 10 minutes, I don't know. I think if it goes too long, you're burying Roman, ain't you? You know, it's one of those things where if it goes 15, 20 minutes, you're burying Roman. Unless you tell the story that Roman lets it go 20 minutes. But I think this match needs to be sub 10 minutes. I'm not including entrances, because we know Roman's entrance is going to be 6 minutes by itself. All right, so The Miz is still icing his jaw backstage. He is then informed that Johnny Gargano's got a tell-all sit-down coming. And it's going to be aired tonight. And The Miz says that all information should be double verified and sources should be checked. Because if that thing airs, he's going to sue for defamation. So Mustafa Ali, who is The Miz's opponent for tonight, finds out that The Miz is supposedly hurt his jaw and is trying to get the match canceled. So he walks up to Miz and says, oh yeah, you know, everything's bigger in Texas except The Miz's balls, of course. Miz is upset. Now he wants to fight despite the fact that he supposedly has a broken jaw. So they have the match and The Miz loses because Dexter Lumis once again attacked him during this match, distracted him. And Mustafa Ali finally wins the match with the 450 splash. The Miz, of course, he's The Miz. You can beat The Miz 1,000 times. He doesn't he doesn't lose anything because he's like 99% promo. All right. Now, this, of course, leads to the 60 Minutes in WWE Investigates segment featuring Byron Saxton and Johnny Gargano. Let me be real with you. Loved it. Loved every bit of it. Story could use some work, but I loved it. So Byron Saxton is sitting there and they're doing this very seriously. They got the clock ticking in the background. Byron Saxton is sitting there. It's like an episode of 60 Minutes. He's talking about Johnny Gargano as a whistleblower. And first he asks the question, who is Dexter Lumis? How does Johnny Gargano know Dexter Lumis? So Johnny Gargano, of course, tells the story that he knew Dexter Lumis for years, that he was a bit quirky, but he was a guy just trying to make a living just like everybody else. Then said that he married into his NXT family. So he kind of saw him as a son-in-law or a pet raccoon. Then he says that then the dark times came when Dexter lost his job and he fell on hard times. At that point, The Miz appears, apparently gave Dexter Lumis some money and hired Dexter Lumis to attack him. It's so silly. He then posits the theory that The Miz is a celebrity and wanted to have a celebrity stalker, so he hired Dexter Lumis to stalk him. Because and his evidence was that The Miz was uninjured for most of this time. The Miz was not hurt. He was not really touched. So over time, however, The Miz stopped paying Dexter Lumis, and this led Dexter Lumis to attack him for reals. And now these attacks are now for reals because The Miz will not pay Dexter Lumis what he owes him. And this was great TV. The reenactments were funny because you got Johnny Gargano playing all the characters. So now Johnny Gargano, at least, was it Johnny Gargano as The Miz, or was it some black guy as The Miz? Like, I don't remember which one it was. But Johnny Gargano was Dexter Lumis, and he's wearing like a blonde wig. And it was blurred, so you weren't supposed to be able to see it. And he was drawing on the street, and then, people are throwing money at him, and then here comes Miz with his fat sacks. His fat sacks of cash. It was great. I hate Johnny Gargano, but this was good. This was very good. They pulling a Jussie Smollett. The Miz is Jussie Smollett now. He's hiring his own stalkers. Oh, God. Oh, man. It's so deliciously stupid. I love this. I love this shit. This is dumb right here. This is good dumb entertainment right here. The Miz, they delivered on this one. Do I care that it doesn't really make sense in the long term? No. No, I don't really care. I just like that they tried something. They did something different with it. It was creative, at least, with the 60 Minutes parody and the reenactments and everything. It was fun. Despite the fact that I don't think the story really works. The story is kind of weak. And because, Johnny Gargano doesn't know for sure, he's posting up a theory. He's just saying, oh, this is what I think happened. He doesn't really have any inside information. He is basically gossiping out here. He doesn't know what's going on. But it's funny. And it's great. And it does make The Miz come across like a real scumbag. And you do have to ask the question, now what do we take this angle? Because now I'm interested. Because remember, Dexter Lumis was in The Miz's house, terrorizing The Miz's family. So now The Miz has to explain to Maurice what Dexter Lumis was doing in their house and was at the point in time in which he was paying Dexter Lumis to be there. So that's going to be fun. Hopefully they're thinking about this a little bit more. But for something that seems like they threw together at the last minute, it turns out okay. All right, it turned out all right. I enjoyed it. All right, so Damian Priest did a job for Carl Anderson, which was a bad idea. Carl Anderson is finally stripped of that stupid never belt that he probably should never have had, as New Japan finally realizes that he's not showing up to their show, which, Saudi money, Japanese money, yes, they're both very long. Again, long term, short term, who knows? But Carl Anderson wasn't coming. All right. So New Japan finally folded and accepted that Carl Anderson wasn't coming. They replaced him with Yujiro Takahashi. Yujiro Takahashi versus Hikuleo. Boy, those Japanese, if I was a Japanese wrestling fan, I'd be very, very mad. And they are. Quite a few of them are very upset with Carl Anderson. So much so that they're now trying to pretend that they haven't been hyping up that lame piece of white bread for 15 years or something like that now. Oh, the Machine Gun, he is so good. I love me some Machine Gun Carl Anderson, he's so good. Now all of a sudden he sucks. The only people who's actually liking fucking Carl Anderson were Japanese wrestling fans. No American wrestling fans outside of people who just slurped up the Bullet Club thought Carl Anderson was any good. All these people who are big fans of Japanese pro wrestling were the guys who thought Carl Anderson was great. And it turns out Carl Anderson's like, you know what? And now they're like, oh, Carl Anderson, he was not that good anyway. You're like, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, the match was mid. Carl Anderson won with a backslide, which is one of the most offensive things I've seen in a long time. They had a fight afterwards. Rhea Ripley hit Luke Gallows in the balls and then dared the other guys to attack her, which gave Judgment Day the advantage. We didn't get to see who's going to be the person to nullify Rhea Ripley. We didn't do that yet. So it just was Judgment Day beating the shit out of the OC. So was that unfortunate? Not really. Not really. It was okay. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. I wish we could have did this without the match though. They could have just attacked him backstage for all I care. I don't think we needed to have Damian Priest lose to Carl Anderson. It's like, come on, Damian Priest is a player for you guys. At least he should be. Having him lose clean matches to Carl Anderson is bullshit. Bullshit. Moving on before I frustrate myself. MVP is hanging out with Omos. They're hanging out in the stairwell, I guess. MVP basically just says that he's got a surprise for Braun Strowman on SmackDown and that Braun doesn't measure up to Omos. I hope they have this match before I lose interest in it. They need to hurry up and have this match quick before I lose interest. Okay, so JBL and Baron Corbin. JBL continues to rule all ass. He is so good at the talking stuff and the heel stuff. Great story about Texas. So he gives us Texas version of history that the rest of the states were asked to join Texas to create the USA, and that Texas sits at the center of the USA. And he talks about how great Texas is, and before getting into the people of Texas, that the millennials and the Gen Zers have turned Texas into a hellhole with their entitlements and safe spaces. Now, here's the thing. There was some applause during this segment. There was applause early because he was putting over Texas. And then he starts talking about the millennials and the Gen Zers and their safe spaces. There were still people applauding. It was faint and it was in the back, but there were still people applauding. When he got down to the point of that these people don't deserve to be called Texans and that they should be essentially kicked out of the state, now the boos came in. Now they're like, wait a minute. You just... I love JBL so much. This was ruled. This was great. This was very fun. JBL is very good. He's much better than Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin came out there and was a pale imitation of JBL. Pale imitation. But Baron Corbin came out there wearing an absolute nightmare of a pair of pajamas. Talking about how he has it all and the people have so little, and he thanked the people for buying a ticket to see him. And then he's going to tell the truth. And upon the word truth, like 3-minute warning, like, did I hear 3 minutes? It's like, did I hear the word truth? What's up? Here comes our truth. And he's out there. At least he knows what holiday it is. So he's got a hobby horse. He's a cowboy. Our truth. It wouldn't make sense for our truth to know what Halloween is, but it wouldn't have been fun if this is the one of the few times our truth isn't dressed up, or maybe he's dressed up for the wrong holiday, or something like that. Maybe he thinks it's Christmas already or something, but he comes out there because he knows it's Halloween. I can't believe our truth actually knows what's going on. He said that he likes their costumes. Said that JBL is dressed like an angry old man before he is attacked by Baron Corbin. Him and Corbin have a bit of a fight before Corbin takes him down with the end of days to end the segment. Okay, I love JBL. Still not feeling the Baron Corbin thing. JBL is I think he might be too much to be a manager because he gets so much heat and his voice is so strong, his promo is so strong that he almost absorbs all of the heat. And I'm not sure if any of it is transferring, over to his charge. I'm not sure that's happening yet. We'll give it some more time. But I did see that critique, and I think there's a very good one, that JBL is perhaps too strong of a promo, too strong of a character, that he is kind of stealing the heat because there's really nothing left for Baron Corbin. And I think this comes from people who don't like Baron Corbin anyway. They think that he sucks, but they also saying like he's basically worse now with JBL. And I think if you look at it in comparison, yeah, he is worse. Corbin was okay on the microphones, kind of bland. Not fantastic, but serviceable as a promo. But compared to JBL, he's the shits. So when he cuts a promo after JBL, it's the shits. Especially when JBL just sat here and just, robbed Texas of their dignity for the past 4 minutes. and yes, we was talking about it on Twitter. There are people who are now getting upset about JBL. The political angle, they're starting to catch feelings. They're starting to get upset. You know, the safe space generation, they don't like it when you call them out. They say it's not true, but then they go and prove it right. So I don't know, what more can you say? What more can you say? Oh, he's talking about he's stereotyping an entire generation of people. He should be taken away. Like, what? Okay, whatever. I'm pretty sure they're going to cut the balls off JBL eventually, and he's going to be no different than anybody else that's going to come out there and talk about how people are stupid and how they're fat and all that kind of stuff. He's not going to be able to really get busy like he has been. They're going to cut his balls off eventually. It's like did Dutch Mantel. But let's just enjoy it for now, because JBL is quick-witted and verbally eviscerating these audiences and hurting people's feelings, and I love it. Give me more. Give me more. Give him somebody good. You know, like maybe we should have, I don't know. I think Cameron Grimes was probably a little too goofy for that, for this gimmick. And I don't know who else it could have worked with. Whoever you put JBL with would have to been a very strong promo. But JBL is definitely overpowering Baron Corbin. This is just like 3 weeks in. All right. So we got the trick or street fight, which is the last segment. Matt Riddle versus Otis. And Matt Riddle comes out there. He's dressed for like Ezekiel for Halloween. And Elias is in his corner. He's Ezekiel for Halloween. That's so bizarre. But what was more bizarre was Alpha Academy. And I didn't get it until I had to look on Twitter to see what was going on, because I did not get what they were doing. But apparently there was an old Saturday Night Live skit of Patrick Swayze and Chris Farley where they were doing Chippendales dancers. And that's what Alpha Academy was doing. And I didn't get it. Like I was in the wrestling bubble for a minute. I'm like, are they trying to be like the Dicks or, you know, some gimmick like that? You know, like Maximum Male Models or something like that. Like it didn't hit me. You know, like I'm not getting it. It must be a movie or something. And that's when I looked it up and I was like, oh. Because everybody pretty much caught the Chris Farley reference. I don't know why it was lost on me, right? Because I wasn't a big fan of Chris Farley. But it was kind of lost on me. And plus, I think that's kind of a little on the nose when it comes to Otis. Him being sort of the Chris Farley of WWE. Because he was already being that. You know, he was already that guy. He was that guy for 2 or 3 years under Vince. You know, that's what got him over the whole Mandy Rose thing. Because he was being, you know, the fat comedy guy, you know. But this was a comedy match. It was actually kind of stupid. Gable went through a table. There was an RKO with a pumpkin, and Matt Riddle wins. Okay. I guess they had to have some kind of Halloween themed match. Why it had to be these two guys, I don't know. Some people were pitching a Halloween battle royal that they kind of wanted. That would have been nice. I think it definitely been more festive under Vince. And to that point, I made this comment under Jim Cornette's videos. He was talking about wrestling for Halloween or whatever. And he was talking about, you know, how these companies, they take it too far. And it seems like, you know, the holiday takes over the wrestling, and there's too much Halloween themed, and everybody's dressing up and everybody's doing too much. And I can see the critique of that. But you also see why WWE was able to come in and take over by injecting fucking fun into these shows. You know, it's like, oh yeah, it's great. One of the examples that he says, fucking Santa Claus is going to be giving out gifts in the lobby of the hotel or whatever, and using that as a promotional tool. I'm like, yeah, that sounds nice, but is it better than Santa Claus is in the ring? No. Is it better than some heel getting heat on Santa Claus, and then some other babyface comes out there to save Santa? No. That fucking rules. Okay? Like, that's good holiday shit. Right? If you have, like, Vince is all about, like, goofy shit, like, especially in the 90s. I mean, they was always wearing costumes. They would have like themed pay-per-views, like Survivor Series 94. They had the Western theme, and all of them were wearing hats. Like, all of them were wearing hats, Vince included. Like, he never was like, ho, 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 look at you, pal, you look like a fool. He was out there too. Same thing. He even dressed like a prisoner that one year. I think it was in 95. And then Jerry Lawler made the joke. I heard you got that last year. You just got around to wearing it. Which is hilarious considering 2 years before that, fucking Jerry Lawler was on trial for pedophilia or some shit. So remember that time that Jerry Lawler he disappeared magically from WWE for a short amount of time in the early 90s? That's when he got arrested for having sex with an underage girl or something like that. So I looked it up, and I was right. It was in 1993. Apparently, he was indicted for sodomy and rape of 2 underage girls or something like that. So it was funny that he made this comment about Vince while Vince is wearing this fucking prisoner's jumpsuit when 2 years before that, he was almost in the fucking prisoner's jumpsuit. So how hilarious is that? At these two fucking guys, both of whom were on trial for fucking serious crimes, are now dressed like idiots on national television for children in 1995. But that just goes to show that just injecting some fun, and there's nothing wrong with, like, and I think my statement was 360 some odd days a year, 300 days a year, wrestlers dress like absolute fools every fucking day. You got fucking Canadians pretending to be Russians. You got, what was Kabuki? I think he was Vietnamese. He's supposed to be like a fucking assassin or something. He's supposed to be like a ninja or a samurai warrior or something like that. And 300 days a year, a big fat guy, is pretending to be an Ugandan, slapping himself on the belly. And, like, these guys have the silliest, craziest gimmicks 300 days a year. But heaven forbid they dress up for Halloween. We gotta take the business seriously, pal. Like, what? Like, yes, you can go too far. And I think the cosplay every day of the year stuff is going too far. This is the night where you do the cosplay shit. If you wrestling Halloween weekend or during the week of Halloween or whatever, and you want to dress up, now's the time. Now's the time to do that. But when you just like a random June, and now all of a sudden you want to play dress up because you like Gears of War or some shit, no. Be an adult. Be a wrestler. Be serious. But this is the one time a year where it's okay to be silly, and you don't have to take this shit that seriously. So, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get why people are against Halloween themed or holiday themed events. It breaks up the monotony. Sometimes these shows can get a little monotonous. You can't tell one from the other. So the holiday episodes actually help out. They seem pretty fun. I don't know. That's just me. What do you guys think about holiday episodes? And what did you guys think to this episode of Monday Night Raw? Like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.